Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. I hope you've all had a brilliant Christmas, and as it's this time of year again, we're looking at the mindset for goal setting, which is a very important part of our dog sports training and career in the competition, or if we're just doing it for fun. And for many of us, it's one of those things that can be a bit of a bugbear. It can either set us up for success or it can set us up for failure. So we're looking in this part of the episode about how mindset affects the way goals work for us. So on the plus side, if you set yourself goals, what can it achieve for you? Well, it can create a purpose for you. It gives you that thinking, right, this is where I'm going. It creates focus. So you know where you're heading to. You've not got this vague, wishy-washy idea of, well, I might do this, I might do that. It channels your training. So it could be a case that you know you've got to get certain things correct to achieve a certain level in the sport you're in. So that gives you an idea of where you need to go with your training. It builds your own drive and determination. It could be the case of a goal is the difference between you getting up every morning and training your dogs or maybe training them once a week. It can also mean that when you have a success and achieve one of your goals, it's a huge confidence boost, which then takes you further forward. So they are all very positive things that can come from goals and setting goals. Unfortunately, there are also negatives to setting goals. So the negatives are that can create pressure on you. It can lead you to feel you've got to do these things, or you put an unnecessary pressure on yourself. I have to achieve this by X, Y, Z, else I'm a failure. It can cause you to go the other way in the sense that there's just so much you think I've got to achieve, you just completely burn out and crash out and you go, I can't do anything. It literally just makes you freeze, so you don't do anything. It can create unnecessary expectations. So supposing one of your goals is that I want to qualify for Crufts, and to do that you have to succeed in a certain qualifier. You go to that qualifier and you stand in the line as you're about to get your dog in, whatever it is, and in your head you've got this expectation, I've got to achieve this. And as soon as you say that, you're now putting that pressure on yourself. You're now making life hard for yourself, and you're setting yourself up far more likely to fail than succeed because you're putting unnecessary stress on yourself and you're not focusing on what you're doing. Setting goals can create a series of negative talk. It can be so that you might treat it as a means of judging yourself. It could be that you say to yourself, well, look, I set all these goals in January and now it's October and I didn't achieve any of them. And you can then judge yourself and say, well, this proves that I'm a failure. This proves that I am not dedicated. Or it could be you judge your dogs. You say, well, that shows my dog isn't good at this. My dog's useless. My dog did it. So it can create this negative talk, which again is detrimental to you and your relationship with your dog and your enjoyment of your chosen dog sport. Lastly, failure to achieve your goals, if not viewed correctly, can create a loss of confidence. Simple as that. You might have set your goals and you come back to them and you look at them, and instead of looking at them objectively and saying to yourself, why didn't I achieve that? Instead, you look at them and again, you treat it as a sense of, well, there you are, that's why I'm no good. And your confidence drops. So then the next time you go into a competition or even a training session, you've already got that drop in confidence. You're not as confident going in. You're setting yourself up again for failure. So that's the two aspects of goals. You can either set goals as a means to improve your success, to improve your confidence and self-esteem and drive you up, or goals can be used to reduce your confidence, reduce your ability to succeed and bring you down. It all depends on having a healthy mindset for goals and using them in a wise and sensible fashion. So what is the right goal mindset? Well, first of all, it's about setting goals that are not set in stone. So let's say, for example, I set a goal that was, I want my dog to, well, this year's a perfect example, get my dog to, well, grade 3. That was as simple as that. Swift, I set the goal at the beginning of the year to get my dog to grade 3. What happened? COVID happened. I couldn't get to shows because the shows were cancelled. I did get to one show, but we didn't get the win we needed. So of course we're now coming to the end of the year, she's still in grade 2. My goal is not set in stone. It's like, well, it didn't happen, we'll do it next year. Treat goals as a milestone, as something to aim for, but don't make them so set in stone that if you don't achieve this, you're a failure. You're not. It's just one of them things. Life happens. Be prepared to let your goals go. Supposing one of your goals was to get your dog to a big level qualifier by 2022 or something like that. In the next 2 years, you want to get to Scruft, say. But as you're going along through the year, you realise that your dog isn't confident enough to either get in that ring and compete at that level or to even get to Crufts. You might say to yourself, you've got to be prepared to let your goal go, possibly just at that moment or possibly for good. Supposing your dog suffers an injury during its career, which could potentially lead to it not being able to compete. Again, you need to be prepared to let those goals go if circumstances change, or perhaps you look at it and you say, maybe that was a bit too much of a goal, a bit too unrealistic. Be prepared to say, okay, they can be dropped, they didn't happen, but that's okay, it's all good. Set yourself a mixture of goals. Now, some people only ever set themselves big goals. They're the people, some people are great at that. They set themselves really tough goals to achieve and they can do it and they can aim for it. Those people generally don't have an issue if they fail a goal. What happens is some of us, like myself, if we set ourselves all the big goals like this, which, and then we don't achieve any of them, that becomes a little list of negativity. So say I've listed out all my goals in my book for the year, my diary, and then I go back to them and I go, well, I didn't do that. It becomes, as I say, a list of negativity, a list of, I didn't do this, I didn't achieve this. I think, therefore, it's better to set yourself a mixture of goals. They're a mix of easy goals that you've probably got a fairly safe bet of achieving. They're your little confidence boosters. They're your one where you tick a box and you go, hey, look, I had 10 goals listed and I've achieved those 2. They might be the simple goals. They could be something as simple as I got my dog to tug ringside, or my dog had a clear run. That could be something as simple as that. I stopped my dog barking at the start line. It was something like that you can probably achieve, so that when you look back, you go, hey, look what I achieved. Look, I've got these goals, and yeah, okay, they were the easy ones, but look, I did this. That's then a positive way of looking at them. Then you're going to set yourself harder goals, ones that you think you can do, but they are slightly harder. You're going to have to really work for them. And then you might set yourself goals outside the box. We'll talk about that later. But the important thing is to have that mix. One of my examples for this is that next year, I hope to run Sparrow in Champ. It's taken us a long while to get to grade 7 and to connect as a team. And I was hoping to run her in Champ this year, but it's 2020 and we all know what happened in 2020. So I plan to run her in Champ next year. And I'm thinking about my goals for Champ, because I could end up putting a lot of pressure on myself. Easily done with me, and setting myself up for failure. So here's some of the goals I'm going to be setting. Goal 1, run in a Champ qualifier. That's it. Now that is easy to achieve because all I have to do is book it, go there, run the dog. Of course, it could still not happen. There could be all sorts of factors, whether myself, health, dog health, whatever. But that's a fairly straightforward goal I'm likely to achieve. The next goal I'm setting in that list is that I'm going to have a clear run in a Champ qualifier. That could actually be quite a hard one for us. So I'm not setting any pressure on what area to do it, of agility or jumping, but just to have a clear. Then I'm going to say things like place in a Champ agility qualifier, so the agility level, place in the jumping, and then of course you got to start getting to the more exciting things like win the agility in Champ, win the jumping, and then it's going to be like qualify for the final, and then obviously the big one, well, I'm going to go clear in a Champ final, but then the big one, win a Champ final. So you see, I'm building up this level of success, building it in gradual stages. It's almost like a stepping stone. Each way you go, well, I've done that, and it's going to build my confidence as I go along, as I achieve these small steps along the way. With Swift, I'm going to perhaps have smaller goals than that. Some of the goals I'm going to have for her, because she's a baby dog, is successfully weaving in the wing, nailing her dog walk contact, building her confidence and things like that. So there's things like that I'm going to do with her, which actually don't sound very big at all, but for me they're going to be quite big, and they're a stepping stone in our journey. So that's why you need to set those smaller goals as well as the huge big ones, like, win crafts, go to Olympia and win. You set the big goals as well, but you're setting those little goals to help you along. Next thing is, when you achieve your goals, make sure you really celebrate your success. Whether it was an easy goal, one that you thought you were going to achieve pretty much, a hard goal or a really big one, don't just celebrate the big ones, celebrate the little ones. If your little one was get my dog to do a seesaw in a ring and you achieve that, celebrate it as if you just won a major competition. That's going to boost your confidence, but it also is going to help you with your goals, and to see that a goal doesn't have to be big to be important. We tend to make goals, we say our goals have to be huge to be a goal. If they're not huge, what's the point? That's completely the wrong mindset. A goal is just something you want to achieve and you're working towards achieving it. And no matter how big or small it is, you celebrate every success. On the flip side, if you have a failure, you get to the end of the year and you say to yourself, I didn't get her to do her seesaw in a ring. We had a lot of problems with that. Don't treat it as failure. You did not fail. You learned something. You learned that she's not confident on the seesaw. Maybe it was a case of that you learned that your dog is worried about the seesaw compared to the dog walk. Maybe it's because you learned that she didn't like the tipping. Maybe she didn't hold the end. Whatever it is, you learned from that. You never ever say, I failed. You say, I learned something, I'm taking that away, I'm revising my goals, and I'm going the next step. Lastly, I want you to appreciate all the goals you do achieve. It's very easy for us to look and go, I set 10 goals, I achieved 3 of them, but look at all 7 I didn't achieve. Instead of that, you flip it around, you say, I set 10 goals, and hey, look, I achieved 3 of them. Even if you only achieved 1 of them, I achieved 1 of them. And you appreciate that. Now, supposing you didn't achieve any of them, you set them all, maybe they were high goals, and so there was a reason you didn't achieve them all, maybe something happened, and you go, I didn't achieve any of my goals. Appreciate the fact you now have an opportunity to achieve them again. You can look at it, and you can say to yourself, well, I might not have achieved that, but I can take them away next year. To give you an example of goals where things can happen and life changes, and so that we don't achieve what we hoped to achieve. My oldest Sheltie, Merlin, he's now 10 next week. Back when he was 8, he needed 1 win to get him to grade 6. But his health started to fail him. He started to have chronic pancreatitis, he's got a stomach ulcer. And so I would have liked to have got him to grade 6 before he retired, but I realised it wasn't going to happen. We had one last show at Christmas, and it was the changeover year between when you needed only just 3 wins to take you up to grade 6, I think it was 3 wins, and then the next year we need 5. No, I tell a lie, I think it was something like that anyway. So I knew if he could get his win there, then we would go up, but if we had to go over to the next year, then the odds were it wasn't going to happen. So I wanted to go up at that show, but I really sort of thought, yeah, we're going to just give this one last effort and we'll go for it. And we did. But we didn't achieve that goal. We didn't get the win we needed. And I realised at that point that he was starting to not enjoy what he was doing because of his health. So I said, that's fine. You don't have to go out on a grade 6. You go out as a grade 5. He now runs Any Size and Hoopers. And he's a lot happier doing that. And at the end of the day, that was what was more important, than him being happy. But that was a case of me looking at a stage of I had a goal and it didn't happen because of circumstances. And being able to appreciate that just because I didn't achieve that goal, it wasn't detrimental to my journey with Merlin. I still loved every step of that journey with Merlin. And, I'd do it all over again, even without that success. So it's definitely with goals, that mindset is your key. The mindset is don't let them pressurize you. Don't let them place you in a position where they're going to be negative to you. If you can turn them into a positive, they're going to make a big difference to your dog sports career. In the next video, we're going to look at how to set goals to make them achievable and help you be successful. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's given you some ideas of how to improve your mindset when it comes to goal making. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Take care, everybody, and see you later.